I was fortunate enough to then run into two phenomenal teachers, one being Master Brown and the other one being Master McRae, who was Master Brown's number one Deshi apprentice at the time. And I refocused out of the organisation and directed my attentions to those two teachers primarily. And that began to fulfill my desire a little more about the way in which Aikido, they did their Aikido slightly different to this. For the masses, Aikido would be a good way of putting it. Whereas their Aikido was very refined, and you needed a certain personality to be super attracted to study it. It's an amazingly attractive version of Aikido when you look at it. Both Mel McRae from Key Fusion now and David Brown, Shihan, still Aikikai Australia, is that Aikido that is over here is beautiful and phenomenal and powerful, and it's fucking gorgeous Aikido. But the general person coming over to learn that finds it very difficult because it's the next, it's tiers above this generalized Aikido version that happens over here. And this Aikido that happens over here is what is the mass Aikido around the world. And that belies the problem of when other martial artists or competitive people, or even just the general redneck public that look at Aikido go, it doesn't work, it's choreographed, it would never work in the street, it would never work in a cage or a ring. You'd be done. Nobody would ever attack you like that. Nobody would leave their arms out for you to manipulate their wrist that way. And yet over here, all of that's proven. There's no qualms or ifs or buts about any of the objections that happen to generalized Aikido over here. But because these people are masters, they're not really out in the public forefront. So it's difficult to just kind of Google and pull up lots of videos of non-Aikido Aikido being performed by masters. And what I mean by that is, what it would look like in a ring, what it would look like in a competition, because it's not how Aikido works. It's too devastating. And when you're looking at the Aikido that is for the general populace over here, for anybody can join in, you don't see that. It's impossible to see. You might see glimpses, a rare glimpse from certain practitioners over here. And then because that's what the primary mass publication of what Aikido looks like is this form of Aikido, Aikido gets the bad rap when it's not the art. It is the person. Joe Rogan famously said, Steven Seagal is a legitimate martial artist. What he finds problem with is the art form. And he's got that wrong. He's got it wrong. It's the failing of the artist, not the art. It's not the art form's fault that you, the person studying it, haven't looked deeply enough to become this masterful presence. And generally, because it's such a humbling experience, that when you do get to like exceptional levels, you generally don't want to put yourself out there.
Why is that?
That's just the nature of maturity, man. That's just how it is.
You don't need it.
You don't need the accolade.
Yeah.
You're fulfilled.
Because I understand that feeling of when you're starting out with something, like the thought of getting good at something is kind of analogous to getting recognized for being good at that thing.
Yeah.
You want to be recognized for the way that you're improving on things. And I guess it seems like for all the people that I've witnessed who are really good at something, they get to a point where that need drops away. It's just not there.
Yeah, it kind of classically comes down to the story of Miyamoto Musashi, right? Who considered the greatest Japanese swordsman that ever lived. By the time he was 30, had retired from dueling and lived in a cave with 2 students. Now, if this was this day and age, that kind of reputation would have international schools everywhere. You would have dojo filled with people learning swordwork if it happened in this time. But because he just wanted to be left the fuck alone.
Yeah.
You know, he had his own, and maybe it is everybody has their own demons to face and don't want to do it in public. And when you've turned the focus on yourself that hard, you realize that, you know, there's just too much work to be done with yourself to be claiming you are a guru, the leader of a way.
A guru, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.